Hello and welcome to Retrotopia. You've got Sam here on the intro, and this week we are talking Double Dragon for episode 53, and I have finally crawled my way out of Wildcard's basement. As of last week, actually, but this is the first intro I've done since, and boy, it feels good to be out of that really stinky, dank dungeon. Anywho, before we get into the show, let's do the plugs really fast. We have a Patreon, which you can join for free at patreon.com/Retrotopia. And you can find the rest of the links to our socials and the Discord, more importantly, at linktr.ee/Retrotopia. That's linktree/Retrotopia. And so by joining the Patreon, of course, you can interact with us and you can ask us questions. And we will do that here in the 8-bit banter box, and it is culturally elegant. We have one comment this week from Logan. It's actually 3, and that is Unbuckled Cape from the Unbuckled Comics podcast, so give him a listen. He does fantastic work over there. He asks me 3 questions. How did Wildcard get you to leave his basement? He got the hose. And just hosed me out of there. He sprayed me with the hose, and I left because I don't like water or baths. Second question: when do we get your Animaniac apology episode? Fucking never is the answer to that question. Although we have talked about potentially, don't get your panties all twisted. We might talk about the Sega version. And I did see a copy of the Sega version at my retro shop. So if it is still there and it is reasonably priced, maybe. That's all I'll say. Third, and most importantly, what does Wildcard's basement smell like? It is dank. It is dank. I added to the smell some of my own smells, which might be too foul to speak of here in the intro. So if you'd like to know exactly what Wildcard's basement smells like, oh, I'll tell you. You join our Discord and you ask me there, and I'll tell you. It's stanky. All right. Thanks for writing in. And before we move on to the game chat, I'll just give you a little bit of an update on what I've been up to. It's been busy over here at the Beagle's Nest. Gaming, trying to get myself back in shape again after I battled back from COVID. I act like it was like the worst thing in the world. I had a mild case of COVID, but I'm gonna start running again. So that'll be good. What have I been playing? I have been playing Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I got a copy on the DS, which is a very, very fun way to play that game. I got to get back into Dragon Quest 3, or I think Danny might kill me. Danny from Retro Wars. Give them a listen and a follow, too. It's just Danny. Give Danny a listen, and all of his guests, of which I am occasionally one. So Dragon Quest 3, Luigi's Mansion. I am going to be playing The Adventures of Batman and Robin for an upcoming quick play that is on the Sega Genesis. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I started an Instagram to promote the podcast and myself a little bit, and selfishly to look at beagle porn all day, just looking at pictures of beagles. So that you can follow me at Storm Beagle. That's Storm_Beagle and a 0 as the O, because someone already took my name, and I'll find you. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I've been playing Silent Hill 2 Remake. I've been co-opting that with my girlfriend, and we are both very scared of it. So, yeah, it's a good game to have a partner with. Just play it with a friend, play it with your significant other. Don't play it alone with the lights out. It's too scary. I'm a baby when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, without further ado, we are going to turn it over to Alan for the gentleman's interlude on Double Dragon.
In a world where streets are ruled by chaos and crime, from the shadows of the arcade, an action-packed saga bursts forth. Introducing Double Dragon. Developed by the legendary Technos Japan, this groundbreaking beat-em-up masterpiece first hit the arcades in 1987, sending shockwaves through the gaming universe. But it didn't stop there. In 1988, this electrifying brawler was unleashed on the NES, igniting the passion of gamers everywhere. The story unfolds. In a city overrun by ruthless gangs, two martial arts masters rise to reclaim the streets. Meet Billy Lee and his twin brother, Jimmy Lee. Heroes forged in the fire of combat. Their mission? To rescue the love of Billy's life, Marion, kidnapped by the sinister Black Warriors. The stakes have never been higher. Get ready to unleash devastating combos and martial arts fury. With every punch, kick, and grappling move, you'll feel the adrenaline surge through your veins. Face off against an arsenal of street thugs wielding everything from baseball bats to whirling knives. Can you fight your way through 7 intense levels? From the dark alleys to the heart of the enemy stronghold. But wait, there's more. This isn't just a solo adventure. Team up with a friend for the ultimate cooperative experience. Double Dragon allows you to tag team your way through the chaos, combining your skills to unleash unparalleled destruction. Imagine the thrill of taking down a gang member with a perfectly timed knee to the gut, followed by a spinning roundhouse kick. A clash of legends. The NES version amplifies the action with vibrant graphics and unforgettable music that keeps your heart racing. Dive into the gritty urban landscapes where every level is a fight for survival. Feel the rush as you and your partner strategize to take on powerful bosses, each with their own unique fighting style. Will you be able to outmaneuver the brutal Abobo, or will you fall victim to his colossal might? Prepare for the ultimate showdown. With its iconic characters and addictive gameplay, Double Dragon set the standard for the beat-em-up genre. Experience the thrill that inspired countless sequels and spin-offs. Get ready to punch, kick, and fight your way to victory. In a world of chaos, only the strong survive. Will you answer the call? Grab your controller and get ready to experience the electrifying intensity of Double Dragon. Available now on NES. Join the battle and remember, fight for love, fight for honor, and fight together.
All right. Thank you, Alan. And whew, I'm a little bit worked up after listening to that, I tell you what. All right. Now, before we, myself and Brian, get into the game, we have comments from our listeners about the game. If you want to join in on the conversation and leave comments about our game of the week, please join us at Patreon. We had one comment this week on Double Dragon, and I'm really not sure what to make of it because I don't understand the reference. But Blaine the Hoagie Man says, "Double fuck the dragon pussy." So I'm reading it here because you wrote it. I didn't say it. You wrote it. and I guess it's a reference to something because Alan got it. There's some back and forth comments here, which yeah. Alan says that your reward is to break some bottles behind the Wawa, which I'm jealous of Wawa. I wish we had Wawa around here. We have Quick Trip, but I've been to a Wawa, and Quick Trip is no Wawa. So I would love to have those. So bring them here. Bring them to Wisconsin. I'm all about it. So thanks to everyone who wrote in, and I just realized that I didn't fill in the details. How dare I? Give me a second here. God damn it. It's as if this is my first rodeo. Oh, fuck. No, I fucked it up. We're not cutting this out. We're leaving it right in here. Give me a second. You bear with me while I Google search this fucking game so I can tell you all about it before we talk about it. Double Dragon. Typing it in. Thank you for bearing with me. We're having some technical difficulties. All right. Double Dragon. Developed by... Who developed it? Fucking ridiculous. Tato. Is it Tato? Yeah, that's what it looks like. Anyways, it was released in 1987 for the arcade and in 1988 for the NES, which is how we played it via the Nintendo Switch Online and also on the Master System. It is a beat 'em up, and we played it on the Switch, which I already said. So that was a mess, but enjoy the show, everybody.
As we've already said from the intro, we are talking about dragons. And how many dragons are we talking about, Sam?
2. These are the only double Ds I've played with in a long time.
Fucking nailed it.
Yes.
Oh, God, I was not expecting that.
Gotcha.
Perfect. All right, so this was originally an arcade game, and one of the key difference between the arcade game and the NES game we played was, and it's going to come up, is in the arcade game, you could simultaneously play as Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee, twin brothers, who learned to fight on the cold, tough streets of the city, as described in the game manual. However, in this game, you can only play as Billy Lee, and if you play two-player mode, you just kind of take turns like it's a Super Mario Brother game. So,
oh, it's not same screen? Good thing we didn't try to play it together, because it would have just been like waiting for each other to die.
We were going to do that, and the game's not impossibly hard. I mean, yeah, you do die, but once you get used to it, it's pretty fairly simple and straightforward, but it is a great beat 'em up anyways. At least I think
it's not bad.
Well, what are your initial thoughts on the game? Let's start this off, because it takes half an hour to beat, and we're going to talk about it for like an hour.
Yeah, the playthrough, it's really funny, because I was like, how many levels are there? Because I'm already on whatever level 3 or stage 3 or whatever they call it, and then stage 4 ramps up difficulty quite a bit, where like the enemies are coming at you and pretty much punching you right away, but it's not impossible to kind of practice up and get through this whole game.
No, and like I said, it's a standard beat 'em up. You got 2 buttons on the NES controller. You have punch, you have kick. Press them together, you got a jump kick. That's how you start out. But did you know there's experience points in this game?
Yeah, I was kind of realizing that as I go along, and they're represented by the hearts, aren't they? That I'm putting that together now.
So
because
I think it's every 99 or 999 points you get a heart, and that's kind of a level up, and you get another attack.
Yes, like I was noticing that as I progressed through the game, you're able to, like, jump kick was the one that I recognized first, because if you hit A and B together, which is a really clever way of kind of giving you a third button, you do a jump, but eventually when you earn enough hearts, you do a jump kick, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
And then I was like doing roundhouse kicks, and I was just like, I'm just mashing B, and apparently I can do a roundhouse kick. And then I saw in the playthrough that I watched on YouTube, where the hearts were all the way full on the bottom of the screen, when you knock an enemy down, you can go down and like punch them while they're down.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah. Or you can throw them too. So there were
the throwing one is fucking hilarious, because there's certain parts of the game where they come piling out of doors, and you just like grab their hair, knee them in the head, throw them off a cliff.
Right.
And you
it's
repeat
like
that because they come at you one at a time.
Yes, it's like punch, knee to the head, throw off a cliff. Punch, knee to the head, throw off a cliff.
Oh yeah. And there's a couple of points even in the game where if like, oh my god, it's a big boss bad guy, and you like climb up or down a ladder, and then the game just like recognizes when he goes off screen that he's dead and level
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah. There was one in the third level, the caverns or whatever, where there was a ladder or like a wall that you could climb, and then a doorway, and one of those like big buff like bald guys came out, and I was like,
Oh
or
yeah.
I could just climb this ladder,
And
and it
that's
just
all
let
you
me
do.
bypass. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just stands there and he's just like, oh, okay, well, Ugga Bugga, I can't climb ladder as well.
Yeah. It's like,
But
well, I'm not gonna fuck with
yeah,
that.
there's other parts where you get a weapon, and we'll get into the weapons a bit later, but
Mm-hmm.
it's hilarious because there's this one girl enemy that will give you a whip,
Yep.
and then you like whip her on. You're climbing up a building that's under construction, and she climbs up a ladder, and you whip her, and she falls down. She gets up, and she climbs the ladder again. You whip her, she falls down. She repeats it until she dies
Yeah.
because they're only programmed to go near you, so there's no actual like AI in this game. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Not at
get
all.
hit in the head. Oh god, no.
No, there was one where like you're climbing a series of ladders up these platforms, and an enemy comes from the top and just like slowly climbs down this ladder. It's like, well, I'm just gonna stand by the ladder and punch you off of it.
Yeah, basically. No, that's like 90% of the strategy of this game. Or if you have like there's a limitation on the NES where you can only have two enemies on the screen at the same time.
Yes, I
So
noticed that.
if you get them in a like if you get them in a pattern where you knock one down and you start punching the second one, you'll knock them down as the first one gets up, and you punch that guy, and you just repeat that till they die.
Right. That's where this game is like, if you can get past some of the awkward platforming, which we'll probably get into, and some of the other obstacles, it's really quite easy if you can get the
Oh
timing
yeah,
right. Towards the end, the enemies I think are just a little bit faster, and so we'll counterpunch you a little quicker or whatever. You have to be a little bit careful, but it's not hard.
yeah. All right. Let's start with the 11 different moves we have, and we'll just kind of
Ooh,
discuss
yeah.
them. I don't know.
Throw
Did
them
you
at
get
me.
all? Did you get all 11 moves, or I guess
I
we'll
don't know if
figure
I
it out as
did.
we
I
go
was
through.
I got pretty darn close though.
Yeah. So you got your two basic attacks. You got the A for punch and the B for kick, and then you have a headbutt, which is press a control pad, left or right twice. So as you come up to somebody, just kind of double tap, and they will, eat your forehead.
Oh
Basically,
damn,
that
that's pretty
one,
cool.
yeah, that's more accidental for me because I'm like a twitchy player where I just kind of crush controllers and hope one of the buttons was the right one.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about the jump kick. Obviously, you get that after you level up a little bit. You hit A and B. Then, if you use a control pad, you can kind of go in a direction. If you hit diagonally in the up direction,
I didn't get this fancy, that's for sure.
you didn't get that. Well, you got that fancy. The jump kick's like the one of the first ones you get, and then when you're in the platforming levels later in the
Well, the
game, you
jump
have to
kick, yeah.
yeah, you have to jump kick from platform to platform.
Which is a really weird, like, I mean, they just stack the jump kick on top of the original jump mechanic, but it's like I felt really weird having to jump from platform to platform, but like I have to kick in order to do
Yeah,
it.
but you look so kick ass doing it.
He does. It's like, yeah,
Um,
every time.
then the other one is more of an accidental one, like press A uppercut. Sorry, press the A button when the enemy is squatting. So I think it's more along the lines of you just happen to catch the enemy at the right time.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get lucky because the enemy will randomly like duck. If you do jump kick, you might
Yeah,
jump kick over them, and then you have to kind of like recover and try to come back around and punch them a few times.
yeah, exactly. Same thing with the low kick. You press B button when the enemy is squatting. It's pretty much the enemy decides to squat as you're hitting the required button, then it's going to give you the attack.
Yeah, it's kind of dependent less on any button combination you put in and more on what the situation that you're in is, I guess. Like a lot of the stuff just kind of happens automatically.
Yeah, and this one I kind of like. I'm reading the instruction manual right now, is where I'm getting all these from. But this one is the hair pull kick, the one we talked about, where you grab their hair and you just knee them in the face.
Yeah.
It says when the enemy is squatting, approach and pull his hair by pressing the B button. But I've never done this while the enemy is squatting because I just walk up to them and then it just happens.
Yeah, you just punch, 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 and then or like kick or something, and they'll just grab
Yeah.
them and knee them a
And then
bunch
if
of
you hit
times.
the A button, you do the over the shoulder throw. And again, if you're on any sort of cliff or ledge or something that throws them off screen, they instantly die. So
Yeah.
it's the best combo in the game. Like there's so many situations where you can just kick somebody off the edge of the screen or into a pit, and
Yep.
that's it. There's like I think it's the end of level one. There's a conveyor belt. You just stand on it on the side
Hmm.
away from the pit there, and when they walk on, you kick them once, and when they fall over, they fall off the pit.
Yeah.
It's asinine in a way, but makes you feel so badass. It's like Assassin's Creed when you run up to a wall and he automatically climbs, but everybody thinks you're so technical with your controller skills.
Yeah. All I did was press forward.
Yeah, I held X.
Yeah. Pretty
Um,
much.
Next move, spin kick. It just says press the control pad twice while facing the enemy. I don't remember ever doing this one on purpose. Anything that says double press, I usually use double press as a way to run. So in this game, I might accidentally do these double press moves.
Yeah, but they look cool.
Yeah, they do look cool. Everything looks cool.
Yeah, sometimes like having the manual would have helped, but sometimes I'm like punching, 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 and then he'll do something. It's like, oh, that was cool. How did I do that? No idea. I only have like
Yeah,
three
yeah.
buttons to work with, so um,
And all I'm doing is mashing all of them just to make sure I can get through this to the next part.
yeah. I wonder how
Oh,
hard it would be. I really wish they had on the. I played this on the Switch Online, and I didn't have this growing up. I think I must have played it at some point, but because it's really familiar, like just Double Dragon in general is got some just like very specific memories for me. Um,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
wish
Same
they
with.
would put. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say same with me there. I had this
Like
game
the
when I was young.
cartoon.
I don't know where
Yeah,
it showed up from. The game just
yeah,
ended up in my collection.
yeah. It's just because, just kind of there.
It
But
just
like,
appeared.
there was a cartoon show, and I think a movie, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
this game was a big hit,
Oh
especially the
no, this
arcade.
game was in the Wizard. Remember? It's like, oh my god, Jimmy, I can't believe you scored 50,000 in Double Dragon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
fucking
do
knocked
remember
that
that now.
out on a
I
half game.
try to not remember the wizard as much.
The
Um,
Wizard was a great movie and you loved it. Go back and listen to
mm,
that episode again. You deserve it.
it was fine. It was definitely a thing that happened. Um, but going back to the Switch Online, like I wonder how hard it would be, and I really wish they would add the manuals in for all these games because
Oh, it
reading a
wouldn't be
manual,
hard at
especially
all.
for an NES game, really helps because they hide so many different combinations. Like you only had 2, 3 buttons to work with. It's not like, you could just assign something to one of the C buttons or whatever the fuck, a shoulder button or whatever. You really had only 3 buttons to work with. And some of these game developers got really creative with how they were able to add different like nuance and strategy into these games with such a limited controller.
Yeah, well, you're right on the sense like I don't know, like I don't know what to say. Yeah, they can do
Yeah.
it there, and it would be nice to have these game manuals because there is no tutorial level in this. It just starts out
No,
uh,
they're not giving you
right
a
off the
tutorial
bat.
level.
Yeah. But I'm going to finish off these last two attacks really quick
Yeah,
here
yeah.
because we missed your favorite, the pin attack, where you just straddle the guy and you punch him in the face.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that. You just walk over to them when they're on the ground and just punch them.
yeah,
And that's really
that's
useful
actually.
too because you can finish them off while they're down.
Oh yeah,
Giggity.
yeah. You sit right on top of them. Of course, you're going to finish them off. A wink.
Yep.
Um, the last one. Do you ever do this one? This one. I like this move. It's the elbow punch. Like if you're facing away from the enemy and you double tap in the opposite direction you're standing, you'll actually do a back elbow.
Oh, dang. That's
Yeah, and
actually
that.
really helpful.
Oh yeah, because if he comes up behind you there, you just give him the old business with the elbow, and then he knocks back, and you can carry on like tuning the guy in front of you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
and
helpful.
but that's like the top level move right there. So if you have to have the full stars, which is I found it indicator when you score reach over 999, a heart mark will appear, and you will go up one level. So you have to have the top level for that. Seven
Right,
levels.
yeah. Well, at least if you've fought all the enemies, you're really going to have all of your Like, there's no way that you get to the end and have beaten all the enemies that you need to beat and not be at the top level.
Yeah.
So, and that's really helpful for the end too, because those
Oh, you
enemies are a little
absolutely need it
tougher.
for the end. Um, Want to get into the story because I love how this game starts. I, there is
Yes,
no
let's.
like the story's in the game manual, and I'm going to read the story, and it's going to have the spoiler for the ending, and I'll explain why the spoiler's in the ending here because it's so stupid that they actually wrote it in the game manual. But to explain the start of the game, you just have this music playing. You're in this back alley, and there's a girl standing there. I can't remember her name, Marion or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys just walk up and gut punch her. And she
Yeah,
keels over and they pick her up and they walk off. And then 2 seconds later, there's Billy Lee standing in the alley kicking ass and taking names.
yeah. And it's like you don't you don't punch a woman. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, but that's a great thing about this game. Half the enemies are women anyway, so it's equal lefts and equal rights.
But they're carrying, yeah, but they're carrying whips, so they're out to hurt
Oh,
you.
I'll remember that when I'm downtown at a protest there. As long as she's carrying a whip, I can just, roundhouse her.
I guess. Yeah, don't use that logic against me, please. Um, yeah, I didn't feel great about punching the women. That's for sure.
Oh, man. Um, You know what? It's an enemy in a video game. I don't see anything about it.
Yeah,
They're
it's not
kicking
a big
your
deal.
ass, you're kicking theirs. Like I said, it's equality. It's not like they're weak either. Um, okay,
No,
so
they
getting
they
into
can they can they can fuck you up if you're not careful.
yeah, so getting into the story, I'm going to read verbatim out of the manual what the Double Dragon story is.
All right,
And
give
it
it to me.
says Double Dragon is a story of Billy and Jimmy Lee, twin brothers who learn to fight on the cold, tough streets of the city. Their expert knowledge of the martial arts combined with their street smarts has made them both formidable fighting machines. But now Billy is faced with his greatest challenge. His girlfriend, Marion, has been kidnapped by the Black Warriors, the savage street gang of the mysterious Shadow Boss. Using whatever weapons come to hand knives, whips, bats, rocks, oil drums, even dynamite Billy must pursue the gang through the slums, factories, and wooded outskirts of the city to reach the hideout for his final confrontation with the Shadow Boss, his brother Jimmy. It just gives away the twist.
Oh, it does. Holy shit. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I was watching the playthrough and I was like, oh, I mean, I didn't make it to the final boss because I just messed with it for like a couple days here before we chatted. But like, yeah, it's like, oh, Jimmy comes out. Isn't that the other
yeah,
dragon? The double
it's the other
dragon?
Double Dragon. You play as him in Double Dragon too. Like they make amends. They go to Mom's house and she's like, why are you punching each other?" And they're like, "Mama, no."
Yeah, I suppose like that's the gist of Double Dragon 1 is like getting the double, the second dragon back and then you're a team then.
Yeah, possibly, but I mean, he kidnaps your girlfriend there, sends a horde of street gangs after you. I mean, that's not something you just make up over a beer. Like it takes
Yeah, I
whiskey.
suppose. It does. Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
You need
other
you need a
thing,
few beers at
yeah,
least.
other thing I found funny about this game because it was the '80s. All the tall people are about 5'8" to 5'10". So Jamie Lee is 5'10". He's a twin with obviously Billy, so he's 5'10". Willie, the actual boss from the arcade, the guy with the gun, is 6 feet tall. Um, Chin Tai, the I don't know, the really fast fighter there with like the mop hair, he's 5'6". The big guy, a Bobo there, the one that you can just climb the ladder to get away from, is 6'3", the tallest guy. Linda, the old whip girl, is 5'4". Roper, just one of the beaters, is 5'8", and the Williams, the guy with the bat, is also 5'8".
But they're
So
all the same size on the screen anyways,
yeah, exactly. Well, except for a Bobo, he's
regardless.
the only one that actually shows up to be a little bit of a different
Oh,
size.
that's the big bald guy, right?
Oh yeah, the big
And I
guy that
like
doesn't look like a person.
I like how um they kind of palette swap some of these
Oh yeah, they palette swap a
enemies to
lot
like
of
give
these
them
guys.
quote unquote variety, and maybe they are a little bit stronger or different in some ways, but like
No, no, they are
the
not.
little
There's
like yeah, the whoever is it Bobo or whatever the guy that's bald is like there's a regular like skin toned one, there's a green one for some reason, and then there's like a purple one.
well,
It's like all the different
Roper.
shades of Hulk.
There's yeah, the Roper. There's the white ones and the black one,
Yeah.
like for no reason.
Yeah, it's
Shintai
like,
has palette swaps in his hair. Same
yeah,
with Linda.
it's variety without actually having to create a new
Oh,
sprite or a new character.
no, I can understand at this time in video games, cartridges were only so big, so it was easier to change a color than it was to change an entire sprite.
Right.
So they probably found a way around compressing an arcade game into a Nintendo cartridge. Because if you look at the arcade graphics versus a Nintendo, it's very obvious that they had to downscale it.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, the arcade game looks really good um, for a game that came out in '87 too,
Yeah.
and then um, man, this came out. This was on, well, at the time was on everything. It was on the Famicom. It was on the Master System too.
Oh my god, what wasn't this game on?
And I don't know if they ported it up to like um, the Genesis or the Super Nintendo or whatever, but like obviously there were lots of sequels, and then the Battletoads Double Dragon crossover, and
Now
all this stuff is
available on
available on.
NSO.
Yeah, it's all on there. So
No,
um,
it's honestly like Double Dragon was. I'm not going to say huge, but everybody knew what Double Dragon was when I was young.
right, but it's kind of funny because it's like, God, it wasn't that popular though, was it? Like it was,
I that's the
like it
thing
was and it
is,
wasn't. Like, I don't know. It's like one of those things that was probably cool at the time, and then forgotten to time. Like if you were to talk to someone and say like, oh hey, you remember that, like the Ninja Turtles, obviously, because they're kind of still around. It's like, oh yeah, Ninja Turtles or whatever. But you say Double Dragon, and they'd have to probably think for a bit and then be like, oh yeah,
well, that's the
like.
thing is like when I was a kid, yeah, we all knew what Double Dragon was, and then you like you said, the cartoon came out, and then the movie came out, and then it kind of fizzled, and new media took over. But
It's kind of like what is it? Is it Karate Kid or whatever? It's a kind of a Karate Kid
Karate
knockoff.
Kid, oh god, sweep the leg.
Yeah, or just like Cobra Kai or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's that type of vibe, you know.
No, I'm looking at the box art here, and I just kind of noticed something. They say Billy and Jimmy Lee are twins, and the
They
guy
don't.
who drew them made them look nothing alike.
They're fraternal twins.
Fraternal twins.
One's got like the flat top, like blonde hair, and the other one's got a brunette mullet. Why not?
Oh god, the '80s was such a different beast because I mean, like, look at these guys wearing their headbands and their kimonos and stuff like that to be called street tough, and I'm thinking back to the '80s, like, no, that's actually probably true.
Yeah,
Like,
well, we were talking about. I was talking about Kid Chameleon with our good pal Danny over at Retro Wars, and it was like the '90s and the '80s definitely had like an idea in media of like what tough looked like, and it was either,
oh
yes,
yeah,
this like, this like you're wearing karate clothes or whatever, or like
or
in
your
Kid
hair's
Chameleon's
feathered.
case, if right, or like in Kid Chameleon's case, like you're wearing like a leather jacket and sunglasses. It's like you just look like such a tool. You're gonna get your ass kicked if you dress like that, no matter what.
Yeah,
That's not
and
tough.
but in the '80s, that was what was considered tough, like wearing leather stuff with spikes on it, or
Right. Well, it's like
jean everything.
it's the residue of like, or not residue, but like the um like the finally like the underground like punk scene that was considered tough, like kind of permeates,
Well,
popular culture or whatever, and like that's what looks edgy or tough, is like a
well,
leather jacket and spiky hair.
something had to happen in the '80s that defined that decade in its culture there because you have the spillover from the last decade. So like in 80, 81 there, you kind of see the amalgamation of last decade versus the new.
Right.
Then you get hair bands, you get like you said, tough guys, you get action movies that were actually so stupid they were good. You don't
Yeah.
get that stuff anymore. Like I haven't seen a great action movie like that with the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean Claude Van Damme style hero in like 2 decades.
Well, it's kind of good that we don't, because those people
Why?
turned out to be massive pieces of shit for the most part.
Who? Arnold Schwarzenegger's not a
Well, I don't know
massive
about
piece of shit.
Schwarzenegger, but, well,
But
I mean,
Jean Claude Van
whatever.
Damme's not either. What the fuck's
No,
wrong with you?
Van Damme's not. I'm thinking like Steven Seagal or like,
Hey,
like some
Steven
of those
Seagal
garden
movies.
variety.
Yeah, Steven Seagal movies. Every Christmas, me and my brother pick one, and we watch it and just sit there and tear it apart as we watch it. It is the only thing I look forward to at Christmas nowadays.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a great dude. I'm gonna say
No,
that.
well,
I'll say it.
he's yeah. I guess he fell off the pedestal there. But I mean, if you look back at the movies he made in the late '80s, early '90s, I mean, Kindergarten Cop was not should not have been as
Twins,
good as it was. Twins should
twins.
not have been as good as it was, right?
Yeah,
Um, but that was carried by Danny DeVito because Danny DeVito is a goddamn god.
I love Danny DeVito.
Oh, so
Let's get
good.
off topic and just talk about how great Danny DeVito is.
Well, this is a 20-minute or 30-minute to beat game, and we're already at 20 some odd minutes of our discussion.
Yep.
We got some more stuff to talk about, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we do.
we're talking about the 80s aesthetic, so it's on topic, off topic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Let's go through the missions, I guess, if we want to get back on topic, because there's 4 actual missions, each broken into, I think, three or 4 parts each. So, first one, what's it called? Called Mission 1, I guess. I
Yeah,
can't
they're
find an
just called
actual
like
name.
Mission 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Yeah,
but like the any like name or whatever that they get is just based off of like this
the
is the
aesthetics. Yeah,
caves level. Yeah, this is the caves level, or this is the streets, and I think like 2 is like a factory, right? Or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look, I'm looking at a wiki here just to jog my memory. Yeah, it's just like a streets into a factory. The first factory you go into is where that treadmill is there, and you just kind of
Yeah.
donkey punch the enemies off the treadmill, or not the treadmill, the conveyor belt, whatever you want to call it. And it's so easy to pass, but it should be easy to pass. It's the first level, and you get a couple of weapons in this one. You get a fight a couple of Williams, which I fucking find hilarious. 3 enemies, or sorry, 3 characters. You have the hero Billy, the main
Mhm.
villain of the arcade Willie, and then you have Williams. It's like somebody came up and was like, I can't think of an original name, so I'm going to use this one 3 times.
It's like Billy, William, Billiam. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. We
Billiam.
got 4 names right there.
Bingo, bango, boys. We're already halfway done, and we didn't even use any memory.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, so you fight the Williams, you fight Linda's, you get your first taste of a weapon with the whip. You just kind of smack their ass with the whips there. Not sexual, very, very fighty.
could be both.
Oh man, I just forgot what words were supposed to sound like.
Violent or like
Yes.
aggressive. They could be both. Could be sexually violent, which is not something that we would want. All right, let's just
Yeah.
move on.
Moving on. All right. You also get your first taste of a roper, but the palette swap makes him a black roper. So there you go. There's your first palette swap. You go inside a building and you end up in the factory with a conveyor belt. Fight a couple of guys, level over. Mission 2. And that's
Yeah.
where you get that great music. The do 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 do
Yeah.
do do do.
It was
That
funny. I had to double check. I was like, you know what? Is this a Capcom game? But it's not. It's like it sounds really kind of Mega Man to me. That stage 2 music is just like it's
oh,
good.
it's simplistic. It's Trade West is the people. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of people who had their fingers in this one, but Trade West is the ones who brought it to America. So Technos Japan, I think, is the one who actually developed the game. But the music's not bad in this game at all.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But going on to level 2 or mission 2, you start in the construction site there, and this is where you get the scaffolding where you beat the Linda and you take her whip and she just keeps climbing the ladder and you just whip her down.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh god, like, I know it's bad to laugh like because you're whipping a woman there and we're all supposed to be evolved men, but it's just so funny. It's just because you sit there and it's one hit and it just hits her and she falls
Yeah.
off. She lands on her back, 2, 3. She gets up and she just walks right back up the ladder to get whipped again until she dies. It's like, you moron, go down the other ladder, get away.
The only time that I found that this game had any sort of like quote unquote AI or like any sort of I don't even know what to call it. It's not AI, but like, just intelligent programming where like the
Intelligent programming. That's good.
Well, where they were like, actually using some strategy against me was there were guys that would come in with like a stick of dynamite, and
You were telling me
I
about
would
this.
try to keep away from it, but like they just kept picking up the same stick of dynamite and rethrowing it. It's like, doesn't that fucking thing have a fuse? Like you can't just pick it up and rethrow it. What the fuck?
Oh man.
And I kept like trying to edge away from them towards like the other side of the screen while trying to deal with this other enemy. He just kept picking it up and like walking towards me and throwing it again. Like, you
I told
fucker, stop
I
it.
fucking told you. Every time you pick up dynamite, the fuse resets. That's how life works.
No, that is not how I've learned from Looney Tunes. That is not how life works.
Only if you're the coyote.
You can't even stop the fuse. It'll just keep going. Blow your beak right off.
Oh, I love the dead silencer. I had absolutely nothing to add to that.
No, I'll keep going.
But yeah, there's
We're
nothing
talking
special.
cartoon logic.
Yeah, there's nothing special about this level, but it's the first time you're going to meet the Chintal. Chintal is the guy who has the mop head there and looks like, I don't know how to describe him. He has the kung fu pants, no shirt on, the mop head. The hair matches the pants because of palate problems, and
Yeah, he just looks like a karate guy.
he's the first guy you can knee to the face and then throw off the edge.
Yeah, that
And
was cool.
yeah, it takes like 10 seconds to beat him if you do it right. Then yeah, you jump into mission 3.
Well,
And
hold on. You don't just jump. Hold on. You don't just jump into mission 3, because if you don't know to walk through that fucking door, you're playing mission 2 all over again. It'll just like, if you're not savvy enough to like go into the doors that are right there, and there's no reason why you would, because the game doesn't tell you to. You just could keep going forward and play the entire. I played the first time I did it. I played the whole goddamn mission again, and then beat the guy again, and was like, oh well, I'm not going to go again through this. I might try this door, I guess. And then that's how I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I never
it'll just fully let you play the level all over again.
I never had that problem. I don't know why. Like, a door opens and you're like, okay, nobody's around. Like, the logical thing is the one thing that has changed is where you should interact with. So when the door opens, you should go in the door. So like, I've never had the problem where like, oh my god, the door opened. I should stand here till the time runs out.
No, but in my defense, the only like, usually if there's a door in a beat 'em up that you're supposed to go in, you're at a dead end and you only can go through that door, like in like Turtles or something, or they just automatically, you beat the last enemy and then your character walks through the door for you. I've never come across it before where the door that you're supposed to go in, you can just walk right past and just progress on back through the level again. And it's just like, so is this like a very small round earth that they're on, where they can just like walk around completely in another circle and just end up back at the end again? Like, what the hell happened?
I've never
and why if that's the beginning, why wouldn't you just go left? Right? I mean, why would you go right if the end is just right behind you? Just go back over there. Don't go walk all the way through. I don't know. It brings up so many questions.
I guess, but I guess as a kid you don't overthink things, and I never had that problem. So
it's just throwing me like through a loop.
Yeah, well, like I said, I played this game as a kid, and I never had a problem. Door open, go through door was always my thought. So maybe it's because you're now an adult that you overthink things. Like, should I go through this door, or should I check the rest of the level for enemies again? Like, I don't know.
It's just weird that it lets you like, once you're quote unquote done with the level, or you've beaten the boss or whatever, like, why would it let you progress anymore? It should just like take your character and walk them in.
But the big thing I wanted to bring up is once you climb the scaffolding of this building under construction, you get to the very top, you enter the door, and you start mission 3, and you're in the woods.
Yep. Why?
That makes sense. Yeah. No cutscenes, no story progression, nothing to tell you that, hey, I'm in the woods because of this. Nope.
No, the woods is the one. No, that's where we're getting confused. The woods is the one where you can walk through it again. Because you get to the end and there's like 2 cave openings, but then you can still walk forward. So like, why would you? That's where I was. Yeah.
Because bad guys
this
come
level
out of
for
the
sure.
caves.
Right. This level for sure, there's only a door and nowhere else to go. In the one with the woods, like you can just keep walking through the woods again until you get back to the cave again. And you have to
You owe
just fight
level
every
2
single
an
enemy.
apology.
Yeah. I'm sorry, level 2. Maybe it
You're
was
not
level
as a
3.
yeah, you're not as much of a dick as level 3.
All right, all right.
Oh yeah, but I know what you're talking about. Okay, this one, yeah. Once you get to this point where you're supposed to enter the cave, yeah, you just walk and do the level over again. I think the enemies show up again too, don't they?
Oh, they sure do. Yep.
Yeah, you just hit like a reset point. It's a big loop, so you're walking in a huge circle in the woods. So you should kind of mark the trees as you go, right?
And you're on a timer. So
Of course.
if you I mean, unless you die and then it sets you back and you get to reset your timer, like you're going to run out of time. And you might, that's actually kind of a long section of the level. You might run out of time before you actually, or at least be pretty close to running out of time by the time you get to the caves that you're supposed to go into.
Yeah, and the time doesn't reset when you enter the cave. So if
No.
you don't do it on the first or maybe second time, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I don't like, well, I mean, it was the style at the time, but I don't like timers. I think timers really suck.
Yeah. Well, again, arcade games, they wanted to give you motivation to move forward, spend more quarters.
Well, right. It's like you have 30 seconds unless you hit a checkpoint and then you got to pump another quarter or two in.
Yeah. And to show you I'm serious, you will have 5 seconds. Simpsons reference.
Yep.
But, oh my God. Okay. So I'm going to bring something up now because I'm going to forget to do it. But when you walk off the edge of a cliff, uh, Billy falls and he looks like he's falling to his death because they have the you just got punched sprite as you
It
fall
looks
off,
it looks
and
so
he lands on
stupid.
he lands on the ground, falls flat, and you're talking like the smallest little you know cliff you walk off of, something that's not even as tall as your big toe, and he does this fucking animation, lands on his back, and he gets up, and I don't know if you take any damage, I can't remember,
I don't think you
but
do.
no, but it looks so dumb. But if you jump kick off it, you can go down as far as you want, and he lands like a badass.
Yeah, that looks cool, but like there's a spot in the caves where you're supposed to actually descend some platforms a little bit and it just like I didn't jump kick down them and he just looks so stupid.
Oh yeah, and if you jump kick, you run the risk of jumping right into a pit of lava, which is the flavor of the time.
Yeah, there's lava everywhere.
Of course, and there's also moving platforms inside of this cave because somebody decided to take the time to set up moving platforms.
Right. And my deal was like where I'm playing this, I'm like, when did this turn into like a shitty platformer? Because at that point, the only way that you can jump to get across anything or down or up is to do a jump kick. So it's like you're just jump kicking from thing to thing and there's no enemies
Yeah,
in these areas really. And it's just and it's very touchy. You could kind of walk yourself to the edge and not really be quite to the edge or so it looks, you know, based on what you're seeing on the screen and he'll just like clutch his stomach and look like he's going to puke and then just slowly fall off the screen.
yeah. Oh god, it's so bad.
It looks so
Um,
stupid.
yeah, it just I guess the lead programmer or the lead character designer just didn't feel like putting one more sprite in there.
I
You know,
think if you're um pretty good or pretty comfortable with the combat or whatever such as it is with two buttons and however they manage to work combos in and stuff, if you're comfortable with the fighting, I think what could potentially fuck up your run is anything to do with platforming because it's just this game is not made for it. It feels like it's shoehorned in, um, and it's just really weak.
yeah. Um,
It's so easy to fall off stuff or like there was one point where there's three moving platforms and there's one point where they were in such a pattern that they would never line up for you to jump to the next one.
yeah. I mean that's the bad part about like the randomness of the NES. You have to get out of that screen and let everything reset.
But you can't necessarily, right?
No,
Because you
you
can't go
can't.
back, can you?
No, you're screwed. You're basically
Yeah,
jump off a cliff, die, and let it reset.
right. Unless you can somehow manage to wait long enough for it to line up to where you might be able to make the jump, but then you're wasting the timer
Yeah, of
and then
course,
you could run out of
obviously.
time.
Yeah. Um yeah, that timer was a bitch sometimes. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, after you finish off the cave, that's where you're going now into the secret temple of something. I don't know what to call it. It's just basically you go from the back streets to a construction site, which makes sense, to the woods, which doesn't, to a cave, which does,
Right.
to a temple of the boss, which doesn't. I mean, like this game's all over the place.
Well, I would say like the weird, I mean, yeah, the cave makes sense after the woods, but it also doesn't make sense that the woods is like just completely circular unto itself, like you're on a
Yeah.
wheel. Um,
Oh, but let's talk about this. The bricks that come out of the wall, the ones
fuck
that
those
protrude.
bricks. Like,
Oh
that's where I
yeah,
kind of ended it. But like, you could see maybe if you get good enough at this game or you're used to this game enough playthroughs, um, there is a way that I guess you
there's a
can kind of
pattern.
like there a little bit of one, but you're still
Well,
probably going to get hit at least once.
yeah, if you watch it long enough, you'll eventually see the pattern. I'm pretty sure there's one where you can walk through. It might be one of those like take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and then carry on. Right?
But there's no indication like,
No,
yeah, I
they
think
just come out.
yeah, in a game that's newer than this or like more, you know, with the passage of time, games got more developed and more, you know, sophisticated, I guess, and what they could
Yeah,
show. And it's like in a game, in a like let's say a Super Nintendo version of this, or even like a later NES version of this with time passing, you would definitely see like a little bit of a rumble before something shot out. So you'd be able to time it at least. It might still suck, you know, and like the hit detection might be shit or whatever, but like at least you could have a tell and not just have things
yeah,
like apparently random, you know, like they appear random and they just like shoot out at whatever intervals and you can't get past it. But
yeah.
yeah,
Um, Once you do get past them, though, I mean, everything's just pretty much standard punch and kick fare. And this
right.
is actually the level where the a Bobo comes out of the wall, and you just literally climb a ladder. He just
Yeah.
stands there, like you just start climbing the rock wall, and he's just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
guy's going to go kill the boss, but I'm just going to stand here." And
Yeah.
you're
I like
supposed
that
to,
he's optional.
yeah, you're supposed to fight two of them, and you can
No.
just walk away from the first one, and the game's like, "Okay, well, obviously you outsmarted me."
Right. And like those aren't, if that fight is optional and you got to save your health and stuff for like later on, you definitely don't want to be sitting there fighting those assholes.
Oh,
Like
absolutely, yeah.
they're just going to take health out of you at some point. Like this game is far from perfect. So even if you're good at the combat, you're still going to get dinged a little bit, you know, like the counter punches or whatever from the enemies are just going to arbitrarily hit you. And there's
Yeah.
not really any way around it.
No, absolutely. Like some of the hitboxes are just kind of a straight up, dick.
Right.
Like you sit there and you're kicking air, and then all of a sudden they punch and they hit you for some god awful reason.
I did use a little bit of rewind on this part just because I wanted to see what was beyond the rock wall weird shit. And I found that the enemies that came out in the fourth level were definitely faster. Like they crank
Faster,
up
but
the
yeah,
yeah.
faster but not stronger.
No, they're the same enemies. It's just they're a
Yeah.
little tougher to hit because you are, you know, they're just a little bit tougher from the aspect of
Yeah, and
just being
there's the
faster.
and when you get to a certain part, there's these spikes at the bottom of the screen there, and that's actually something you can walk off and die in.
Yeah, you
So
can
you
walk off the
actually
bottom.
have, yeah, you have the amount of usable space that you've had in the entire game,
Right.
and that
Only at the
lasts.
end. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end part, right? Or are the spikes at the end too? I
the
noticed it like
spikes
the
are
very beginning.
they're right up to the end. Like they're
Okay.
in the third part of this last level. The spikes come out and they go right to the red carpet room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You don't want to go
But
down the you don't have as much room to work with basically.
yeah, and pretty much. And it's not you can only throw enemies left or right, so you can't throw them in the spikes. So it's not like you can just dump every enemy into the spikes. So
Yeah.
it actually adds a layer of challenge to make the last level a bit harder by taking away half of your usable space to move around.
Yeah, it does. It's definitely a step up in difficulty, even after if you've managed to get past the freaking rock wall, which is dumb because that's really like, well, in the caves there's like these falling stalactites, which really fucking suck too. And then there's one point where there's these boulders that I think you're supposed to be able to walk under as they bounce, but the like you said, like the hit detection kind of sucks, and your character is pretty slow. So good luck avoiding them. If they're gonna hit you, they're probably gonna just hit you.
Yeah. Um, I think the neatest part was the last fight of the game was like there's only five main enemies in this game.
Yeah.
Four regular enemies, and then Willie, who's the kind of the main boss of the arcade. So you fight two Abobos, two Shintals, two Lindas, and then two Ropers before you take on Willie, who's just, a guy with a gun.
Yeah, I was like,
And
what the fuck? This guy's a gun?
yeah,
And
but
it's kind of like the Double Dragon version of a boss rush. Just like we're gonna throw all
yeah,
these like shitty enemies at you, and like in a gauntlet, and then
yeah, and that's pretty much
yeah,
it. But you have more floor room. The spikes are still there, but your floor room has pretty much tripled over what you had for the rest of this part of the level.
right, which is nice
Yeah.
because
And then the secret, and I know you guys don't know this because it has never been mentioned before, not in the game manual or nothing. You fight Jimmy Lee, your brother.
no
Fuck, that was,
shit. Oh, we should have put a spoiler alert up.
yeah, god damn. Like, when I read the manual before I like play a game again, and it just ruins the whole story because I'd forgotten that Jimmy Lee. I thought it was Double Dragon 2 that he betrays you and you end up fighting him, but it turns out it was Double Dragon, and it makes no sense. Just
Yeah, because
even if
and
you
the like on the cover they're like together or
yeah, they're
like
arm in arm. They're like, yeah, bros. It's like that meme there with Carl Weathers and Arnold
yeah,
Schwarzenegger, like
yeah,
embracing with the muscles and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
No,
definitely.
it was not a good twist because it was already ruined. And again, the sprites. Billy Lee is a little bit darker with different color hair than Jimmy Lee, who is white, white, white with ginger hair. Goddamn gingers. I always
Uh,
say that because I am one. I hate us.
yeah, that's true. I was gonna say like, isn't that the pot calling the kettle red or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's it. The game ends after you beat Jimmy Lee there, you go into a room and there's your girlfriend sitting on a nice bed and everything. It just seems like one of those I didn't want my brother to have the hot chick, so I kidnapped her and tried to convince her to you know, Stockholm syndrome herself into me.
Yeah, the coercion is always the best course of action,
Yeah,
I think. But he gives her a good smooch, and then the your last experience point, your heart or whatever, floats up to the top.
absolutely. It floats up to the top. That's the blood rush into the penis.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
that,
guess
well,
so.
it fades out. There's a bed. I'm sorry, this is an adult game. They bang.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, they were already making the sprites hot, weren't
Oh,
they?
he's hot and sweaty already too, right? Do you see the jugs on Linda? Like, come on,
Uh,
they
the
they
the
they could have saved probably half the space on the cartridge by knocking those double D's down to kind of like a B cup.
they could have made a whole new like sprite. They could have made a whole new enemy type.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's yeah, they like their jubblies.
This is a fun ass game.
It
Oh,
is.
there's
It's
another. Yeah, there's another. Real
mode.
quick, there's another game mode. There's like a
Yeah.
rudimentary fighting game in there, and it really sucks.
I was just about to get into that. And
Yeah,
your
sorry.
only choice is to pick one character and you fight your alternate self. So if you pick Billy, you're fighting Jimmy, but you can pick the enemies as well. So if you pick like a Bobo there, you're just going to fight another Abobo, and it's not good.
No, it sucks, and it's
No.
like there's a fair amount of like the health is in like it looks arcade style where it's like these arbitrary like blocks of health that just kind of disappear seemingly whenever the game feels like it. And I mean, I won a round, but it wasn't fun. And it was
No.
really evenly matched because you're just basically punching each other.
Yeah, but a couple of the characters actually have special moves. And it's always either hit A or A and B. And you take Williams. and he has hit A, hit for a knife slash, but if you hit A B, he throws the knife. So
Oh, dang.
yeah, it's like the Hadouken of this terrible fighting mode, and every sprite is upscaled.
Hmm.
So there's a different version of the sprite for every character that's just a little more detailed.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's good on them for putting another uh game mode in here, and one that's truly two player, because you could square off against your friends this way, but it's not like
Fun,
you're not playing
not
Street
fun.
Fighter 2.
No,
It's
you're not
pretty
even playing
shitty.
Street Fighter One.
You're not even playing like, well, this is
Rock'em
years before
Sock'em
that.
Robots.
Right. I was going to say like you're not even I mean, this is years before like Tournament Fighters came out, but like you're not even playing that game. And that game, I don't think that's a very good game, but whatever.
But no, it's yeah, it's just it's there. That's all I'm going to say about it. There's nothing special about it. It's
No.
basically taking the game and putting it into a little arena fighter.
Yeah, I was like, I tried it once and I was like, well, that's a thing that they did, but I'm not going to play it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine if they released this game as just that?
Oh my god, no, we wouldn't be talking about it. Like, I'm absolutely adamant that that was the only fucking thing of the game that was actually bad because it's a
Yeah.
decent beat 'em up, especially for an old NES game ported from an arcade.
Yeah,
Mm.
is this considered or one of the earliest NES beat 'em ups? Because this came out in
87.
um, 87 on the arcade, but I think 88 on the
Oh yeah, that's
NES.
right. Sorry, 88 on the NES.
Let me
I have no idea. To be
let me
honest.
check. Battletoads might have been 87.
Oh,
NES beat 'em ups. Let's look at a list. Come on, Google, help me out here.
let's see. The Adventures of Bayou Billy, which I didn't consider a beat 'em up. Battletoads, which is Double Dragon 1 through 3. Kung Fu. Kung Fu might be a
Uh,
beat 'em up.
I mean, let's say it's one of the earlier ones, and so it has some kind of rudimentary elements,
Yeah,
right?
God, Kung
Well,
Fu was such a
oh,
good game.
hold on. How about what about this one? Oh,
Mm.
well, no, this is a year later. River City Ransom.
Yeah. If you're looking for the purest form of beat 'em up, Kung Fu Master, Kung Fu, uh, the essential point of the game was you walk into a room and you just walk down the hall and you beat people up, and Kung Fu would be probably a very early
Oh,
version of a beat 'em up.
oh shit, it's that one. Yeah, I've seen like the cover of that. I think this one's on the NES Online too, isn't it?
It might be. I can't remember
Yeah,
for sure, but I have this on my NES Classic, and god
yeah, I
damn, it's a
definitely
fun game.
recognize the little like label on the cartridge.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I wouldn't put it above Double Dragon, but it's definitely on par with it.
Well, I tell you what, I think Double Dragon is better than Streets of Rage 2. No, I'm
Whoa!
kidding. I'm kidding. Everyone just like had anyone listening to this just had a fucking meltdown. No,
Record
it's not
scratch.
better.
Rick.
Yeah, no, it's not better. It definitely had its place in time and is very fun. Like you said, I think when we were like kind of texting back and forth, it's just kind of dumb fun. But yeah, I liked
Well,
it.
keep talking, Sam. I'm making a note here to put a record scratch sound in.
Yeah, record scratch sound. Yeah, no, it's a fun game. I liked it. I enjoyed my time with it. I mean, I'm not going to go back to it now cuz I got other stuff to play, but definitely if you're just like if you got 20 minutes to kill, you know, and you want to just take a run at Double Dragon, it's not a bad beat 'em up. It's just kind of something to just switch off your brain and
It's actually one
punch
of the
people.
advantages of the game is it is fairly short.
Did you use the punch? I used the kick mostly. I didn't find the punch to be all that useful. I thought the kick had just like maybe an extra pixel or two of range.
I don't know. I kind of vary just to keep the game interesting.
Yeah, I did too, but I found that I was getting counterpunched a little bit too much. So if I wanted to keep my health, I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna kick.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm going straight off of memory off this game. Like, I didn't play it recently. I just I popped on some screenshots and stuff like that, just kind of remind myself. But I played this game so much as a kid,
Yeah.
but I never logged in my brain what kind of button pressing I did. I just sit back and let my fingers take over. So let's
Yeah.
score the game.
That's what she said, by the way.
Giggity. Um, Man, we've actually pumped out a podcast twice the length of it takes to beat the game. So,
Hey, there we made it.
yay! So let's score the game. Sam, what are you going to give this 1 out of 10?
Hmm.
Do do do
I'm
do
gonna give it a
do
nice solid 7.
do 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 do.
Well, I mean, and that's not saying it's a bad game or a bad score. I just think like I was gonna go 7.5, but I think that's a little too high. There's some stupid bullshit, and it's really short, which is fine. But also, I think if you are looking for a more full or satisfying experience with a game, then that's where you pick up like your Streets of Rage 2 or your Turtles in
Yeah.
Time or whatever.
Um.
But if you're looking for something fun and dumb to play for a few minutes, like this is a pretty good game, and it's really like really low barrier of entry. If you're not great at beat 'em ups, like this is not a technically sound, beat 'em where you need to like know, how to position yourself or different combos or anything. It's just like button mashy at its core.
Oh, exactly. And I'm going to go the same. I'm going to give it about a 7 because it is on NSO, and I do recommend like if you like beat 'em ups, give this one a shot. Kind of learn where beat 'em ups got their progression from. Again, this isn't the first beat 'em up out there, but it's definitely one of the ones that resonated with a lot of people. So a good 7 out of 10 from both of us. That's absolutely fantastic. Sam, do you have any final words?
Um, no, just
Do,
I
do,
mean,
do,
don't hit women.
do.
That's
Oh,
not
yeah,
cool.
women. Hey, it's 2024. I have no conclusion to that statement.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it matters what year it is. You shouldn't don't hit ladies, and if you
You
do,
know what? You know
I'm gonna
what?
come after you with some kung fu.
I'm gonna counter you on that one. If I'm getting my ass handed to me by a woman, and that's again, it's 2024. These women can fight
Equal
now.
opportunity here.
Yeah, like if I have to, throw a left and a right back to defend myself, I'm going to defend myself. There's no chivalry when it comes to getting your ass kicked. You got to fight, right?
But if someone takes my like cute little pixel girlfriend away from
Yeah,
me, I'm gonna fight.
that's true. Yeah, and I'm not exactly walking downtown and just randomly punching girls. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover.
No, I'm a street tough. There's a difference.
Street, yeah, I'm a street tough. We have a code we have to follow. Do
Yeah,
do 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 do
the
do do
code.
do do. All right, so that does it for another episode of Retrotopia. See that, Alan? I can roll my R's like you. Thank you for listening. If you want to have an opinion on the games we play, you can do so at patreon.com/retrotopia, where you can join for free and comment on the game of the week or send in comments for 8-Bit Banter Box. Until next time, I have no catchphrase, so I'm going to ask Sam to send us off.
Yeah, I'll send you off. If you have you can always have an opinion. Just join us and tell us what they are. For next time.
I don't know. We're just
Wow.
talking now. I'm probably gonna cut that part out.
Here, cut it. Have a good week,
Yeah.
everybody. Bye.
Go fuck yourself, Retrotopia.
Yeah.
That's still the best one. Oh man. Oh, I
That
should
was a
stop
good one.
recording.